Thanks for coming to class.
Only thing is if you're saying
All right, let's get this laptop fixed.
all I care about. So I'd be so
Okay. Hey, Karen.
Well,
All right, cool. Okay, guys, welcome to class. Thanks for coming. Keep coming to class. That's your best bet. So today's Thursday, the 7th. This is, again, what's due. So last night you turned in your interview questions and your brainstorm. And I've been grading a lot of those, so I've been giving you guys comments, so you've been doing pretty well on those. You don't have anything due until next Thursday, but you have a lot due.
Yeah.
You have the Module 4 and 5 quiz, the Module 5 assignment, which is exercises 3.1, 3.3, 3.4, and 3.7. Those aren't that hard. We're going to look at those maybe today, maybe next Tuesday, a little bit, or I'll show you something equivalent to them. You have Module 5 lab due. This is next Thursday. Repetition structure. We're going to look at that today a little bit, and I'm going to help you. And then you have the Module 5 brainstorm. Okay, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4 things due next Thursday. So I'm going to do my best to help you to where it's not that hard. Okay. So let's look at the poll questions first, and then we'll dive in. And these are too long for me to type, so I'm just going to put them up here on the board and ask you guys. Okay, so for number 1. These are right out of your quiz, okay? Right out of the quiz, 4 and 5 you're gonna have to take. So these are 3 more questions that you should get right, okay? It's almost every question in the quiz is this: which of the following statements is false? I mean, I didn't come up with these, they came with the book. Which one is wrong? The following snippet, if you see the word snippet, it means a little tiny piece of code that somebody like snipped out. I know I heard a few guys trying to pronounce snippet, and it just is a little tiny piece of code. It's like he had some scissors and you cut out a little piece. Okay, so what do you guys think this one produces? It says for number in range, starts at 0, ends at 1 less than 10, and increases by 2, and I'm printing number, and the end equals a space. So that means I'm gonna print spaces instead of new lines. Okay, so that looks like it's going to print 0, then 2, 4, 6, 8, and it's going to stop before it gets to 10. So that looks correct, right? So that's not false.
Yep.
How about this one? Starts at 10, it's going down, and it's not going to include 0 by 2s. Remember, it doesn't include that number.
Oh.
10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 0.
That was false.
This one's false, so this is your answer right here. Let's see, this one should be right. 5 to 10, and I'm going by ones because there's no third argument here. So I'm going from 5 up to 10 minus 1, so it should be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So when you see this on the quiz, this is the false one right here. Okay, makes sense? And we covered that yesterday quite a bit, or Tuesday. Okay, let's look at the next poll. Here's another thing: which of the following is false? Okay. The descriptive statistics, mean, median, and mode are measures of central tendency. Each is a way of producing a single value that is in some sense typical of the others. The Python Standard Library Statistics module, where you have to import statistics to do those, provides functions for calculating the mean, median, and mode. These two are reductions. We talked about reductions a little bit, where it takes a whole bunch of numbers, like a list, and reduces it to one number. Say we had a whole list of 10 numbers and we reduced it to the average. It's reducing it to one number, right? That's what a reduction is. Like functions min and max, sum and len are both examples of functional style programming reductions. They reduce a collection of values to a single value. Len gives you the length. So if I said len of list, say I had something like my list equals and a list, and I said 0, 1, 2, 5. Okay. And if I said print len, which is the length of my list, what do you guys think that's going to print? What's the length? What's the number of elements in that list?
4.
4. Yeah, it's going to print the integer 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 things in there. Okay. So that's what len does. Sum adds them up. Min and max gets the min and the max. So the min would be 0. The max would be 5. And the sum would add all these up. So 0 plus 1 is 1, and 2 and 3, and 5 is 8. So that'd be 8. That was the sum. Okay, my bad. So each of these is a statement. Sorry, these are part of the question. The following session creates a list called grades. This is in IPython, or whatever they call it, interactive Python, but this could just be the terminal. Just don't worry about these ins and outs. So you could say grades equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grades, then uses the built-in sum and len functions to calculate the median by hand. Sum calculates the total of the grades, and the len returns the number of grades. Okay. All right, so this looks true to me. Mean, median, and mode are measures of central tendency. Okay. The mean is the average. What would be, let's add one more. I think we went over this one time. Let's do this. Okay. The mean is the average, right? Is the same as the average. So what would be the mean of this list right here? I just changed it. What's the average? So just add them all up, right? 15 plus 3 is 18 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 18 divided by 5. 3, 15, 33.6, right? I would say. If I did that right. That's the mean? Okay. What's the median?
18
It's the absolute middle number if they are sorted.
Oh, wait.
So what's the middle number? And these are sorted.
Um,
That's right in the middle.
Yep.
So that's 2, right? And what's the mode? We don't have a mode here. Do you guys remember what the mode was? The most frequently occurring value that repeats. We don't really have a mode here. Okay. But a mode is a reduction, and it gives you some idea about how these numbers are related to each other. So that's true. The Python Standard Library Statistics module provides functions, mean, median, mode. These two are reductions. That's true. Like functions min and max, sum and length are both examples of functional style programming. Reductions, they reduce. That's true. I'd say the first 3 of these is true. This one looks false to me because it says
list of grades.
we're saying functions to calculate the median by hand.
Oh,
That would mean you're trying to write a function to calculate the median instead of using the median function. So this one is false. Okay? This is the false one. if you guys see this on your quiz, okay? It's this last option. Because we're not doing, you're not gonna calculate the median by hand. Okay? You're just gonna use the built-in function. All right, let's look at this one. This is our last one, which is false. Okay, I should have put little dashes in front of this. Because these are all options.
Is it the first one?
Let me put a dash so you guys know that's
Yeah.
one option,
Yeah, I was thinking that.
this is one option, this is one possible answer. I'm gonna invert this a little, can I? Come on. There we go. And this is an option. Okay. All right, which is false? You typically create a decimal from a string. Well, you guys remember this yesterday, right? We said x, for example, equals decimal 1.25.
It's no, since it's a string for the second one.
$1.25. Remember, we use decimal when we're trying to deal with numbers that have to deal with money. And we want to be very precise, because remember when I actually set x to equal 125 and I printed it with 20 decimals or 20 significant digits, you could see at the very end there was all kinds of numbers there. Okay, so you typically create a decimal from a string, that's true. You may perform arithmetic between decimals and integers. So could I add x equals x plus 5?
Yes.
Once I do that?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. We did that. Okay? So that would equal 6.25. Right? I'm adding 5 to 1.25. Oh, I'm adding 25. Okay? So you could do that. Decimals support the standard arithmetic operators, plus, minus, multiply, divide, integer division, exponentiation, and
Oh, it's
modulo,
decimal.
as well as the corresponding augmented assignments. And you know what augmented assignments are, right?
I was wondering.
Plus, equal. You could also say x plus equal 5. That's the same as this, right?
Okay.
You add these, I should have put more of a space here. X plus equal. This is augmented.
Yes.
So this is saying x equals x plus 5. So that's true. So we must have, this one must be false. You may perform arithmetic. You may perform arithmetic? That doesn't sound right. You
Arithmetic.
may perform arithmetic between decimals and floating point numbers. Okay, so can I do this? Can I say x plus equal 3.57?
No.
This is what fails. I can't add a decimal to a floating point. You guys can try it and it won't work.
Right.
Okay, so this is bad. So
We'll
there you go.
say
So this is the one that's false right here. Okay, so when you guys get to this in your quiz next Thursday, you'll see that. So we talked about decimals yesterday. Anybody have any questions about anything? About decimals,
yeah,
about
where'd I put my drink?
arithmetic operators? No. Length, mean, median, mode. What would be, let's create another list. Let's call my list 2. 2, 2, 2, 3, 5, 7. What's the mode of my list 2? Ah. What's the most frequently occurring number up there?
2.
2, yes, that's the mode. And in order to use this, you would first have to say import, or you'd have to say from, this is what I would do, from statistics, import star, space star. That's how you get the statistics module imported into your Python script. You have to say from statistics import star. That's the easiest way. If you just say import statistics, then you have to put the word statistics in front of every one of these. That's statistics dot mode, which is a pain in the butt. It's a lot more typing. Okay, so do it this way. Okay? Okay, good. All right. So what are we going to learn today? What are we going to try to go over today? I've kept it a little small. We're going to look at Module 5 Lab. Then we're going to look at validating user input. We talked about that before a little bit. Like I said, I was going to cover that because up until now we have assumed that the user's putting in the right thing, right? We've just assumed that they're going to put in, but we haven't checked. We haven't forced the user to input what we want. And today we're going to learn how to do that. And then if we have time, we're going to get into functions. I don't know if we'll have time. That's our next module is functions. And functions are very cool. Once you learn functions, then you're off to the races. Then you can do everything. Functions are huge. It's going to simplify all your programming. It's beautiful. Beautiful concept. We're going to have a little in-class activity, and then we're going to have a group activity, and then we're done. Okay. So let's look at Module 5. What you guys need to do. All right, and I have it up here. All right, so Module 5, let me shrink this slightly, is a Word document. So you need to download the Word document. And if you don't have Word, you know that Word or Microsoft Office 365 is free for all PEAM students. So you can download it for free if you don't have Word. Okay. That's all free, which is cool because that's like, I think I'm paying like $100 a year for my version for my family. Yeah. I should actually get it through Pima if I was smart, but I've already paid for it. So anyway, open this Word document up in Word. You're going to read this stuff. So this is about condition-controlled loops and count-controlled loops. So if I just say condition-controlled loop, what does that tell you guys? Is that a for loop or a while loop?
Or no, condition would be while.
While. Condition is while. While. While a condition is true, right? We keep looping, okay?
What about if?
If is not a loop. If is a decision.
But is it conditional?
Yes, yes,
okay.
yes, it is. It is. Yeah. If is a condition, because we always check the condition. We're saying if some condition here,
But it's not a loop, got it.
right? And the condition, my good pin's going out on here. And this condition is going to evaluate to what? Whatever it is, it must evaluate to one of two things.
True or false?
True or false, right?
So it's a Boolean.
It's it's a Boolean condition. It's either gonna be true or false. Whatever we put in there is gonna be true or false. That's all it can be. You know, and if it's true, we're gonna execute the things that are indented, and that was one of your questions on your interview. Explain why you have indentation on if statements. Everything that's indented gets executed if it's true. Okay. So that's right, this is a condition. While loops have a condition too. As long as the condition is true, we go inside and execute the while loop. So let's scroll down a little bit more. Here, and these things in the gray boxes here are just further reading for you. So it's saying, the general structure of a while loop with a condition controlled statement is, this is pseudocode. While the condition, we're going to execute the statements, and then there's an end while. We don't have to put end. This is pseudocode now. Pseudocode, you write while and end while. We don't, in Python, you don't have to put an in while, okay? And there's also a thing in some programming languages called a do while. Do, statement, 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 while the condition is true. We don't have that in Python. So that's why I don't go into it too much. But this is a pseudocode way to write a while statement, or while loop. Okay. So this lab requires you to implement a condition controlled loop. Note that while many software languages have a do while, Python does not. Okay, so here we go. This kind of looks familiar, doesn't it? We had the store, like an Ace Hardware store, and we had monthly sales and a store amount. And if they sold so much for the store, remember the store got a bonus. And if they increased so much on the percentage from one month to the next, the employees got a bonus. Remember that? You guys just turned that in. That was lab 4. Okay. So examine the code. Loops are commonly used to call blocks of code multiple times, right? The common design pattern is to use a while loop or for loop around the block of code. This would be the block right in here. The things that are indented, this is the block. Okay? That's going to get executed a bunch of times. Okay? So they're giving, this is pseudocode again, remember? So if they say declare real monthly sales in pseudocode, how would I write that in Python code?
Monthly sales equals 0?
Yep, precisely. Monthly sales equals 0. That, if you see something like this, they're giving you the answer right now. Declare a real, we don't care about, Python doesn't really care about reals. It doesn't know. You don't have to tell it it's a real ahead of time. You could say 0.0 if you wanted, like that. Then it would save it as a real. But you could just say it equals 0. And it's saying that's an integer right now, but you can assign it a floating point number later. That's how flexible Python is. So this would be store amount equals 0, imp amount equals 0, sales increase equals 0. Okay, and then this is saying the code to be repeated. Here's you're going to include the code to get the monthly sales, increase in sales, the store bonus, employee bonus, and then print it all out. So this is just telling you what you're going to do for the rest of your program. Okay. So let's roll down a little more. Okay. In the space provided below, create a loop control variable named keep going of the data type string. Initialize this variable to a lowercase y. Okay. So what they want you to do is just say, how would I create a variable called keep going and initialize it to y in Python?
Yep.
What would I put right in here?
Keep going equals y?
Pretty simple, right? Keep going equals the string y. You can put it in double quotes or single.
Oh, that.
Okay, so that goes right here. Initialize this variable to y. Okay, so right away Python knows this is a string because it's surrounded by double quotes. Okay, we already know how to do this in Python. And then we're saying keep going equals y. And now we have the while loop. While something is true, we're going to do something. We're going to do this stuff, and then it's going to say display. Do you want to run the program again? Enter y for yes. So what do you think this while loop is going to say right here? While, what's the condition going to be?
While input equals y.
Well, what?
While input equals y. Or while input equals.
You'd have to do the variable, not input.
Oh.
What did we just set to y?
Oh, keep going. While keep going equals.
How would we write that? So just tell me how to write it. Or actually, come on up here, Tim, since you're doing so good. Write it for me.
Yes, please. Yes.
Do I need to make that in quotes?
I don't know, do you?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, let's stop right there. Okay, did Tim do that right? What's wrong? You
The
missed
double equals?
something, two things.
He put y instead of keep going as the equals, right?
Is it, do we need a single equal or a double equal?
Double.
Double, right? We're checking to see if it's y, right? And if, are you checking, is y a variable or is y a string?
Why is it string?
Okay, so it's
So it
string.
does need to be in quotes.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Okay, now it's right. So that's what's gonna go right here, guys. While keep going, double equal y in double quotes, okay? And if it's in Python, you're gonna need a colon at the very end of that, which we're writing Python right now, okay? Good, Tim, thank you for doing that. So double, you got a colon there, excellent, okay? So while keep going, so this is our pre-read. You always have to have a pre-read before you get into a while. We're reading something ahead of time. This is, I wish I could write on this board, but I don't think I can. Or can I?
You
Let
might
me
be
try.
able to using those pens, yeah.
Can I?
Maybe.
Let's see.
I've seen other teachers do it, I don't know the process.
It's not gonna work, is it? That would be cool if it would. I'm probably,
I think it's supposed to, you might be able to ask someone to teach you how.
I'm probably doing it wrong. Yeah. It's okay. Okay, so this is gonna say, keep going equals yes. Equals y, lowercase y, right here. And then we're gonna say, while keep going equals y, so it's gonna get in one time, and then we're gonna write some more code that you guys have already written. And then you're gonna print out something to the user. Do you wanna run the program again? Enter y for yes. So now we're gonna input, we're gonna read keep going. We're gonna read a value for keep going. So how would does somebody else wanna come up here and write that right here? How would I get, how would I prompt the user to enter yes, y for yes, and store that value into keep going? Put it right, and any other volunteers? And okay, go. You got it. This pen is being kind of crappy. Try it out if you want. It's probably better than the other ones. Looking good so far. Oh, sorry, Tim. Input, do you want to run the program again? And it's a long question mark, and then enter y for yes. I should have made a bigger box for you there, Abigail.
It's all good.
Excellent, beautiful. Good, okay. Way to go. Thanks for volunteering. Okay, so this is how you would, this is gonna go here, guys. You're gonna prompt the user, do you want to run the program again? Enter yes, y for yes. And that value, and the input function returns a string. You don't have to convert it to an int or anything, right? It's a string. And that's gonna be keep going. So suppose the user enters a y. We come back up here, and this is saying while keep going equals y, then we get back in and do it again. If it's anything other than y, we jump out. So I've just given you 1, 2, 3 things for that homework to fill out. Now let's look a little further down here. Okay, they're asking you to do what we just did. Oh wait, this is a,
Yeah.
okay, so it's asking you to create a loop control variable called keep going and initialize it to y. So that's this. Right here, okay? And then they're asking you, this is a do while loop, even though we don't have them in Python, just fill this out. So that actually, the same thing goes right here, actually. Keep going equals yes, keep equals one. Now we're saying do, we're gonna do all this, and then this input statement right here is what Abigail just wrote. That's going right here. And then, since this is a do while, the while condition goes at the bottom, and that is what Tim just wrote. So that goes down here. Okay, so we're already on page 3, and you guys have all the answers. Okay? So, basically, what the first 3 pages is doing is reviewing what you did in lab 4, but using a while loop instead. Okay. Now we're up to this part, where we're going to write a brand new program that collects bottles. Remember I said I used to walk along the street and get bottles and take them up and get a new Coke. If I got 5 bottles or 10 or whatever, then I could buy a new soda pop. So you need to write a program that will allow a grocery store to keep track of the total number of bottles collected for 7 days. 7 is key. The program will calculate the total number of bottles returned for the week and the amount paid out. So they're going to give you 10 cents a bottle. That's pretty good. So the output should include the total number of bottles returned and the total paid out. The program will ask the user if they have more data to enter and will end the program if they do not. Okay? So this is your bottle collection program. Okay, so it's telling you what to do right here. It's saying a variable called total bottles, declare the following variables. A variable called total bottles that is initialized to 0. Okay, so can somebody tell me how I would do that? I'm going to delete this one. How would I create a new variable called total bottles and initialize it to 0? Anybody? Tony.
You just do total bottles equals 0?
Yep,
Right?
that's it. Single equals 0. Good. Okay, it's that easy. Create a variable called counter that is initialized to 1. How about Natalie? How would I do that? Create a variable called counter and initialize it to 1.
After
Yeah, good. Okay, who wants to volunteer to do the next one? I want to create a variable called today bottles and initialize it to 0.
You do today bottles equals 0.
Yeah, good. Okay. You guys are getting it. Okay, we're rolling along. And then we need a total payout equals 0. And then we need a keep going that is initialized to y. So you guys have already done that. Keep going is initialized to y. So this isn't that hard so far, right? So then you have to write in the pseudocode below, okay, so make calls to the following sections of code under the documentation for step 2, okay. So set the variable total bottles for the week, set total payout using the variable total bottles, Okay, so here's the declare variables. So you need to fill out these blank lines right here. With what we just put over here, plus a couple more. Whoa, counter. It's counter, right? Yeah.
That's right.
My N looks like a U. Counter equals 1, so that's gonna go right here, okay? Then while something is true, keep going as Y. Now we're gonna set the value of the variable total. So we set these to 0, now we're gonna prompt the user for something. Do you want to enter another week's worth of data? Yes or no? This is gonna be this part right here, keep going, okay? So we've already written a lot of this. So you just keep going through this. Now is where we get into a little bit of work, okay? In the pseudocode below, write the missing lines, including the 3 missing variable declarations, and initialize them to 0. The missing condition, hint, should run 7 iterations, okay? So, what does this thing right here look like to you, since it's all in caps and snake case? What would we call that? It's a variable, right? But when we write things in capitals, what do we call those? You guys remember? Starts with a C.
Oh, scale case? Yeah, scale case, right?
Is it class?
Class? Nope.
Constant?
Constant, right, constant. So this is a constant. This isn't gonna change, right? So we're gonna, basically this program's gonna run and it's gonna prompt the user, how many bottles did you collect on day 1? And then how many did you collect on day 2? This number, we're gonna do something 7 times, right? So, we have a counter variable here, right? So, you're gonna declare and initialize our today bottles, total bottles, and counter to 0. That's all this right here. Let's look at this while loop for a second, part B. What do you think this is gonna look like? Okay. And we already have number of days. I want somebody to come up here and fill this in for me. There's gonna be a variable, something that's gonna go here, and something that's gonna go here. How are we gonna loop? And we're starting with 0, how are we gonna loop 7 times using this? So, anybody wanna come up and have a stab at it? Just fill in the blanks there. There, you wanna try? Nope.
Is there gonna be an and?
Nope.
Okay.
You wanna try it, Tony?
Oh, yeah, I'll try it.
Okay. So we wanna loop 7 times, right?
Oh,
And we set counter equal to 1, right?
yeah.
So
No.
this, I can tell you, this is gonna be counter.
Okay.
So put counter right there.
Oh.
That's gonna keep track. Okay? This is 7,
Yeah.
right?
So, yeah.
So this is gonna go here. So just write number of days.
7. And then number of days.
No, right, number of days.
Oh,
We're
number-
gonna
oh,
use
yeah,
the
yeah,
variable.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We're gonna use the constant. NBR underscore OF underscore DAYS. Okay, we wanna do something 7 times. We're starting with 1. This is gonna be a relational operator. What's it gonna be?
Oh, while
Counter,
is, yeah, less than, right?
less than or less than or equal to?
Less than or equal to?
Less than or
Or
equal
less
to
than
7.
less than and a number larger than that wouldn't work, that's what I was thinking.
No, in this case, since we're starting at 1, you would use less than or equal to. Yep, and then a colon. Okay, you did it, good.
So not less than 8.
Right, so that's gonna go 7 times, right?
Oh, number of days.
Because counter's gonna be 1, right? And it's gonna say, enter the number of bottles returned for day number 1. And then it's gonna come back up. What do we need to do inside here to modify the counter variable? Because we're gonna, so he's just
Oh.
written the while loop right here. He's written part B right now.
Counter plus 1?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Yeah. How would you do it with an augmented assignment?
I thought that was I got them backwards then.
You're close.
Counter equals counter plus 1? Or no?
You could do that.
Is
You
that
could
now
say you-
augmented?
This is not augmented, but this will work.
Okay.
Okay, you gotta have that in there somewhere. And this, I didn't do this right. This is actually indented because it's inside the while loop. Okay. So this is gonna be D or E in here, okay? All right, so I think that's all I wanna give you guys, because I don't wanna give you the whole thing, but I think I can find it and show you how it's supposed to run. Because I've written it. All right, let's have a peek here. See if I can find it. Okay, let's see here. It's called, it should be called Lab 5, right? Let's see. Oh, there we go. 5, let's see if this is. Okay, cool. Okay, but this will still run. Ignore this for now. Okay, let's try it. Okay, let me make this bigger, sorry guys. Let me get this. Okay, this is how it's gonna look when you guys run. Okay. You're gonna run it, it's gonna say, whoops, this is the wrong one, my bad. This is the monthly sales part. I got the wrong one. I know. Should have that up already. Oh, wait. Four eight. Let's try 4. Unless it's lab 6. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Okay. Let's run this. Okay. Here it is. Enter the number of bottles returned for day 1. Let's say we got 5. Day 2 we got 3. Day 3 we got 2. Day 4 we got 6. Day 5 only 2. Day 6 1, and day 7 we got 1. So it's prompting you. This is the while loop. It's going through this while loop 7 times and printing out something, and then you're inputting the number of bottles that you collected for that day. And then when you hit, after you got to 7, you hit return, and it says the total number of bottles collected is 20, so it's summed all this up. And at 10 cents a bottle, it says the total paid out is $2. I should have put 2 zeros after that. And then it says, do you want to enter another week's worth of data? I'm gonna type in Y. And then it's gonna ask me again. I just say I just got 3 for every day. Oops. Now I got 21 bottles, and I got $2.10, and I'll say no, and I exit. So that's what your program's gonna look like for next week. That's, when you start running it, that's what it's gonna look like, okay? So you need to fill out that Word document, and you need to convert that Word document into Python code. Okay, so there's a little bit more here. It's giving you partially what you need here. You just need to fill in the blanks, okay?
Well, the frame rate suddenly.
Make sure you document it well. It's, you don't need to put it in both places. It's saying you can rewrite the code right here too. You could do it right here, that's just step 1 and 2. There should be more. And this is giving you a sample output right here. Okay? So, you guys kind of follow what they're asking you to do in this assignment? Okay, yeah, Richard.
I just wanted to say, I haven't been letting the meeting, but
Yes, make sure you guys get in, and that's how I tell who's here. Let me admit, oh, you got it, sorry about that. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. Okay, good. So, I think that's all I'll give you for today. If you have questions, you can ask me on Tuesday, because we still have until next Thursday to do this. We have a week from today. Let me get back to what I wanted to cover today. The next thing was, I believe, validate user input, okay? So this is a key thing we're gonna cover here. And it's not that hard, but you need a while loop to do it. So how do we force, and this is gonna be one of your in-class activities, validate user input. Okay. So.
Did you say it had to be a while loop?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we usually use a while loop for that. Chair back here. Okay. So suppose our goal is we want the user to input the number, the integer, let's say integer 1. That's our goal. We want the user to only input an integer, and it has to be the number 1 and nothing else. How do we force them to do that and keep prompting them to do that?
Elif.
So what we do is, first we'll do the pre-read,
Oh, it's nice.
and we'll say, we'll call it my int, or integer, I'll just say my integer, equals int, input, enter 1, just say enter 1, please. Whatever. Put a colon, space. Okay, so we prompted the user for a 1, right here. Now they might enter a 1, they might not. So now we're gonna have a while loop. And this is the key. We're gonna loop while it's not 1. You gotta keep looping while it's not what you want, right? So what would be not 1?
Equals exclamation mark, right?
Yeah? You could say like that, right?
Yeah.
Not equals 1. So while it's not equal to what we want, we're gonna print an error. We're gonna say, error, you must enter a 1. Try again. Okay, so you print an error, and then you just copy this line
Okay.
back down to here.
Okay, I was about to say.
Yeah, you copy this line and put it right back here. So we're just gonna copy it and say my integer equals int input. We've got to give them an error first to tell them they did something wrong. enter 1, please. And it's, colon. Okay, so this is an input validation loop, we will call this. Okay. The key is keep looping while the number is bad. I'll say while bad input. Okay? So we did our pre-read. We said enter 1, please. If they entered 1, we get down here and it's saying, well, my integer is not equal 1. Well, we're not even going to get into the while loop. Then down at the bottom here, we're going to say, we're just going to print success. You entered, let's make it a formatted print. Put an F there, and then we'll put my integer there, which puts it right in this print statement. Okay, and that, okay. So if they enter 1 right away, they got it right. It never gets into this while loop, and it just comes down and says print success, you entered 1. If they enter anything other than 1, while my integer is not in, it prompts them, error, you must enter 1, try again. They enter it again. Say they enter 2 down here. It comes up, back to the while, 2 is not equal to 1, says you got an error, do it again. It keeps coming back to this while as long as it's not equal to 1. So I'm just going to keep, as long as you put bad data in, it just comes back and back and back and back. So this is forcing the user to enter 1. You've got to enter a 1 to get past this part. Otherwise, you stay here just looping, 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 looping. Okay. So this is the input validation loop, the first version of it, and I'm going to have you guys do that in class when you come back from your break. Okay. But this time I'm going to have you ask the user to put in the word yes, okay, instead of 1. And these are indented, of course, in our while loop. Okay. Any questions about that?
Yeah, click.
Click. Okay, take a little breather, come back at 5 till. And let me admit some more people.
They still sell it? You pull out that pencil back in. It's crazy. They usually might need to.